In entrepreneurship, there's nobody to tell you what to do. I had no idea what I was getting into when I started entrepreneurship. I dropped out of college, no money in my bank account, trying to start my business and get started inside of sales. And I wish I had this video to look back on when I got started. It's tough. It was really hard. When I got started inside of entrepreneurship, it was really, really difficult. I think the biggest thing that makes entrepreneurship so difficult is that we're wired our whole lives to think one way, to look one way, to know all of this information. And there's this other road over here that nobody talks about. It's the path that's less taken, the lonely road. And there's a big highway, the 5-lane, 10-lane highway over here where everybody else is going, and everybody else is on it, and everybody knows these road signs in the street. That's the paved path because everybody else is on it. And then there's this lonely road over here that nobody decides to take. And so you don't know where the turns are, you don't know where the speed bumps are, you don't know where the potholes are, and you have to figure that stuff out on your own. And I think that a lot of people, they don't know what they don't know, and they get started inside of entrepreneurship and they realize that it's a little bit more difficult than they thought it was, right? So what's the truth about getting started inside of entrepreneurship? Well, when I got started inside of entrepreneurship, it was insanely difficult. You know, there's this road over here, it's like a 10-lane highway of all these cars racing down the street, and it's the path that everybody's on. It's the path that everybody follows. Everybody knows this road. Everybody knows where all the turns are. Everybody knows where all the road signs are. There's no potholes because it's the paved road that everybody else takes. And then over here, there's this other road, and it's the path less taken, and it's the less walked path. And you don't know where the road turns, and you don't know where the potholes are, and you don't know where the speed bumps are. And those are the things that you have to figure out being an entrepreneur, because nobody else is walking that direction probably around you. And you have to start to rethink, redevelop your mind in a way to this other way of life, this other journey, because we're wired to go to school, get a job, do my work, follow my boss's orders, when in reality, in entrepreneurship, you gotta be a problem solver, man. 99% of the world is a complainer. They don't solve issues. They're not here to make the world a better place. They're like, oh man, there's traffic today, wah, wah, wah. Oh man, my phone didn't turn on, wah, wah, wah. Oh man, I spilled, coffee on my pants, wah, wah, wah. When in entrepreneurship, you're like, dude, we gotta make a turn. We gotta make this adjustment. We gotta get a new phone. We gotta get new technology. We gotta change. We gotta get here. We gotta be here. I can't miss this meeting. I gotta make my phone calls. I gotta be in the right place at the right time. I gotta work extra, right? So you're solving problems constantly in business. And those are just some funny examples, honestly. But you're solving problems, and that's a huge difference versus the 99%. Those people, they wake up late, they get ready really quickly, they rush out the door to work, they're pissed off in the car, they drive their car to work, they sit in traffic, they get to work, they do what somebody else tells them to do all day long, they leave, they get home, all they want to do is relax and watch TV and just be distracted, and then they wake up the next day and they do it again. And they're just living in this rolling lifestyle of doing what other people are telling them to do. In entrepreneurship, there's nobody to tell you what to do. You're trying to figure it out on your own. You're trying to figure out, identify what the hardships are, how to solve these problems. This isn't working. What do I need to do to be better? If I'm missing, sales in this area, I gotta fix it. Nobody's gonna come and save you, right? And so there's this quote that I love so much from Andy Frisella. He says, and I heard this when I was getting into entrepreneurship, he said, nobody's gonna believe in you until you've already done it. Right? So when I got started inside of entrepreneurship, I dropped out with no money in my bank account. I didn't know what I was doing. I had no experience inside of sales. I had a great GPA in college. I thought that I was doing everything right, and I said, I'm out. I'm gonna go do my own thing. And when I got started, nobody was like, go Tyler, you're gonna make it, you're gonna kill it, you're gonna win. Everyone's just like, what are you doing? Why would you leave college? You have a semester and a half less to graduate. Why wouldn't you just graduate? This is the dumbest thing ever. And so I had to go upstream against everybody else's opinions. Right? I had to go this other direction that most other people didn't understand. And that's tough mentally. You have to rewire your mind to just be okay with that and just understand that that's not a big deal, right? And so in entrepreneurship, there's nobody there to save you. There's nobody there to save me. You have to make it work. In entrepreneurship, you're the one to blame, right? In most cases in life, there's somebody else that a lot of people blame. 99% of people, they're okay with blaming other people for things. In entrepreneurship, you have to take accountability and responsibility for the things that are happening, or your business fails and you're at fault. Right? There's this quote that I love so much, and it says, You have to live life looking in the mirror and not looking out the window. You have to take accountability and responsibility for all the things that are happening inside of your life and inside of your business if you really want to make it. And if you don't, and you're looking out the window, you're pointing your finger, you're complaining, and you're pointing the reasons why things aren't going right, you're the only one that's going to be at fault. You're the only one whose business is going to suffer. So you have to take accountability, take responsibility. You either work through your obstacles or your obstacles are going to work through you, right? The obstacles that you have in front of you, if you don't overcome them and solve them, then there's no way that you're going to be successful and you're going to be right back on that main highway with everybody else. I'm going to tell you guys a quick 30-second story. When I was trying to get started inside of sales in my industry, I had to buy my own leads at this time. So I was trying to figure out how to buy leads. I had no money. I just quit my job. I had $0. I was asking my mom for money, my brothers for money, my friends for money. I was buying leads. I could not make sales. At that point, I decided that I was going to drop out with no money in my bank account. And so I went to take out a loan. So I got declined from the first loan, second loan, third loan, all declined. And then the fourth time I applied for a loan, I think it was the fourth, maybe the third, but I applied and I got approved. I got $1,500, put it all into leads, and my back was up against the wall. It was do or die. I had to figure it out. All right, I had to solve that problem. I had to look for solutions constantly. I'd say, how can I make this work? This is going to work. I just got to figure out how. What do I need to do? This is the direction I'm going. This is where I'm going to end up. How do I make it happen? And that how question, right? This is the goal. This is where I want to go. How do I do it? How do I do it? Over and over in my head. It's how I was able to overcome that and get to that next level, right? I used to say that it's like a foggy mountain that you're walking up and you can't see your next step on the hill, and you're walking up this foggy mountain, and each time you take a step, you don't know if you're going to be at the plateau, at the peak, and be at the top there, and you're just taking another step and you're just trying to make it work. You're trying to figure it out. And I'm going to give you an example, right? I kind of floated around like just being able to pay my personal bills my first month in like a half or two, and I was kind of just like buying leads and like reinvesting back into my business and then making sales and like kind of evening out after personal expenses every week and then every month for the first 6 weeks, 8 weeks maybe. And what I realized is that I was not profiting a ton because I wasn't good enough yet. Like I was close to busting. I was close to not making any money sometimes. And I had to just keep taking that next step, and I couldn't see my next step. And I didn't know if next week was gonna work. I didn't know if I was gonna make it through this week. I believed I was, but I didn't know what was gonna happen. So I was taking that step, not knowing, not being able to see, and I just kept taking steps and steps and steps. And eventually I could start to see, things started to make sense, the fog started to clear, the murky water started to clear, I could see now, right? And so you have to be able to and be willing to go through maybe some uncertainty at the beginning like I did. Like I didn't have any capital, I didn't have any money getting into entrepreneurship. I was a green pea just kind of winging it all in just because I was willing to go through that adventure, right? And looking back, like I do view it as an adventure. It was some of the coolest times of my life. I learned the most I ever did. And these stories that I tell on my channel, if you watch my content, most of it is about those days. Most of it is about when I got started. And I think that adjustment, that switch is the hardest to make. But once you make that switch and you start to change your thinking and you're used to thinking like that now and it's just what you do every day, things get a little bit easier because it's just more routine. Right, coming back to the point of people aren't gonna believe in you, nobody around me believed in me, right? I didn't have like a huge support cast and all these people that were like cheering me on from the sidelines. And I'm gonna give you an example. The person that I was closest with at that time was my girlfriend. And that girl literally told me, she's like, why do you watch all these people on social media? I feel like that, they just talk about how they're successful and they're not actually teaching you anything, like these books that you read, like why do you read these books? And for me, I'm like trying to figure out how to change my life. Like I'm like trying to figure out how I'm like gonna become successful because I realized that college wasn't gonna take me there. And so I'm like offended, and I'm like, I literally said to her, and I remember this story so vividly because I didn't know at that time how to do it. But it felt like it was on the tip of my tongue, and I said, it's on the tip of my tongue. I'm gonna figure this out. It's on the tip of my tongue. It's like I almost have it. And it was like trying to catch a wet fish. It just kept slipping out of my hands. And I was like reading books like the next page is gonna be the information that I need to be successful. The next page, the next podcast, right? And I was just like the next phone call, the next day, I'm gonna break through tomorrow. And I just always had that attitude, but nobody around me had that attitude towards me. I had to like be that inspiration for myself. And if I didn't do it, nobody else was. And if I didn't do it, I would be at some 9 to 5 right now, working for somebody else in some huge corporate company that doesn't care about me. So I'm insanely grateful that I had the courage to take that step, because it's totally changed my life in trajectories that I can't even explain. And once you start to take that step and you keep doing the right things and you pound the meat, man, you get in there and you do the work, some doors will start to open for you, right? And I don't know when, right? Like I went through 2 months of calling with no sales. Like it didn't happen right away for me. And then I got my loan, I started to make calls, make some sales, be kind of level, like I wasn't making a ton of money, and then I started to do really well. And then I started to do even better. I started to sell a ton. And it was like my cup, my glass was just, there was water being poured into it. And once it hit a certain point, it was like it was gonna overflow. And my water just hadn't reached the top of that cup yet. And if I quit when it was 3/4 of the way full, I would have never seen what this life was like. So keep on investing in you, keep on investing in your business, keep going. It is tough until you get to where your cup is full and you understand your business. Like it is gonna be difficult, but it is worth it, right? This life, this freedom that I have now, and the point that I was gonna make is the doors that'll open up to you in your life, it's incredible, right? I've had mentors, people that I've watched online and looked up to for years. Now I work alongside them and I talk to them consistently and they're my business partners, right? I had doors open up to me. I lived in my mentor's house for 4 months because I was a top guy on the leaderboard. I was willing to make more calls than anybody else. So I got an opportunity because I was willing to put in the work. And you can too, right? And I used to think and say to myself, I just gotta make it through today. I just gotta make it through this week. And this is what I'm gonna do it, right? I'm just taking that step. It's not about winning, it's not about becoming a millionaire, it's not about becoming or doing anything big right now. I gotta make that one step, 1 foot in front of the other. And I took it in the micro. I wasn't thinking long term, like I have to be a millionaire. I was like, I just gotta win tomorrow. Gotta win 1 day at a time. And that was my standard that I lived by every single day. And something that you can implement into your business is pick like 3 to 5 things that are gonna move the needle in your business every single day. Like if I was at Real Financial, if I was in financial services, I would look to recruit 1 person a day and sell 1 policy a day. That's a great formula because in 365 days, you sold 365 policies, you recruited 365 people into your business, and now you've got a sales organization and you've got a bunch of sales where you're making money and income. And here's the story of that, right? Jack and Jill, this time, instead of walking up the hill, this time they go into the woods and they're grabbing a bucket of water because their family, they have to walk 2 miles into the woods, walk 2 miles back home because their family eats, bathes, cleans all their stuff with it. And so Jack and Jill, for 2 years, go and they walk up the hill into the river and they bring these buckets back. Well, Jack, on one hand, goes up, walks his bucket back, and that's all he does for 2 straight years. Jill, on the other hand, being the smart cookie that she is, she goes up the hill, grabs a bucket of water and a stick of bamboo, and she walks all that back. And Jill lays that stick of bamboo, and she lays one next to the other one, day after day, for 2 straight years. And so Jill has now, in 2 years, built a pipe that brings her water from where the river is, it flows into the pipe, and it brings all the water down to her hut. Jack, on the other hand, still has to walk all the way up the hill, walk the 2 miles. So these little things in the micro, when you do them right, the point is that Jill was doing little things. She didn't build the pipe in 1 day. It took her 2 years to build it. But she was every day, she was setting herself up to be a little bit closer to where she wanted to be. So if you can just break your business down, what's gonna move the needle today? So in 30 days when I look back, I said I made some progress. In 30 more days, I made some progress. In 30 more days, I made some progress. And over the course of 6 months, 12 months, these are big chunks. You don't wanna try to go all for nothing, all or nothing. You wanna go small bits by bits and take those steps day by day. The saying that I used to say when I played sports was, sometimes you get into a situation where you're tired, it's late in the game and you're just trying to survive, right? You're trying to live to fight another day. You're trying to get out of the quarter. You're trying to get out of the period. You're trying to make sure by the time your shift ends, you don't get scored on, whatever the case is. You just got to live to fight another day sometimes. And you got to realize when you're in those moments, when you're taking on chaos, there's problems going on, there's fires to put out, your business it feels like it's falling apart. You just got to live to fight another day. And you gotta just have that attitude that I'm gonna just take what I can today and I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna hit my list of to-dos tomorrow and I'm gonna get back into it, right? It's a marathon, it's not a sprint. The biggest thing is, guys, it is a totally different way of thinking. So at the beginning, when it feels like you're doing things maybe incorrectly, like it felt like I was doing things incorrectly because I wasn't successful at it. But what I soon realized was that I was like not making sales, but at the same time, I didn't have the information to make sales yet. I wasn't good enough to make sales yet. So I had to keep investing in myself until I had enough information. And once I had that information, then I was able to be successful. So a lot of it is getting new information. And so he who seeks is he who finds, right? Bible verse, Matthew, I think it's 7:11. He who seeks, he who finds. If I'm looking for that information, if I'm looking for ways to be successful, I'm looking for the money, if I'm looking to become a better version of myself, I'm gonna find that stuff. If I'm looking to poke holes in my business and prove why it doesn't work and how crappy I am, then man, like, it's not gonna keep working. Like, you're going to go down a bad path. So guys, this video is all lessons that I learned during entrepreneurship. In my journey so far, I've been able to go from literally broke $0 in my bank account, taking out a loan to get started, to making an incredible amount of money. I have a sales organization, I have a life insurance agency. I'm helping tons of other people become successful inside of this business, and just having fun with it. 7-figure a month agency, and we're doing big things. So if I could do it, you could do it, and it's possible for anybody to be able to do it. But you got to follow these kind of steps and these frameworks and these things that I've laid out. At some point, or one point or another, you're probably going to learn these along your way. You might as well learn them now and implement this stuff into your business today. If this helps, guys, leave it a thumbs up. We love you. If you need anything at all, you can reach out to us and drop a comment. Be happy to get back to you guys. Man, if this is the video that helped you out today, I'm gonna place a couple other of my videos right here for you guys to watch. It's exactly what you're gonna need to see following today's video, guys. See you in the next one.